Hello, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. I decided to do a podcast today just because it's the holiday and I've been having a whole week off. And I would feel bad that I don't do anything productive, so I'm putting up this impromptu podcast. And today I think I'm going to talk about finance because I just have a discussion with a friend about career path. What do I mean by career path? It is kind of a controversial topic because a lot of people growing up or going to school, they really have no idea what they want to be when they grow up or what they want to be after they graduated or even what to study and what major should they focus on while in college. This is actually a very important topic because what you decided to study really can affect your future career for the rest of your life and also greatly impact your financial freedom or financial burden as well. Personally, I have heard a lot of stories about people who study XYZ and then they graduated with an XYZ degree and guess what? They couldn't find a job or they're like, okay, I don't really like this job. I actually didn't want to work this job and now I want to switch major. And so I'm going to go back to school and study a totally different things and start over. But then at the same time, the student loan is piling up and now they're doing another degree and they're going back to school, so the student loan just keep going higher and higher and higher. And that's really not good. And so in this episode, I was just really hoping to stress the importance of picking a major or a career that you really want to go for and really stick with it and go all the way. So that is the point number one I'm trying to make. And I know it's hard to know what you want to do while you're in school, but nowadays there's a lot of options, right? You can be an intern, or you can even like call the company up and say, can I shadow a day of your work? And that way you can see what it's like to work in that job for a day, and then I'll give you a taste of whether you actually want or see yourself doing that for the rest of your life, or maybe at least 10 years of your life, if not the rest of your life. Because hopefully you'll be advanced to a higher position after 10 years or so, or less. Another thing on this topic is picking your major. Besides doing what you want to do and what you like to do, the realistic fact is you need a career that can actually have high demand that you can find a job for. And you need a decent pay. So I don't want to like give any wrong intention that I am demoting some kind of specific areas, but just talking about the fact here. We all know that if you're majoring in art, drawing, or simply history or some sort, you're not going to find a job easily. We all know that, right? Or you might be able to draw something and paint something, but most likely you're not going to be easily find somebody who appreciate it and actually pay you good money, at least not in a consistent manner, day after day for those jobs. And so if you actually study art and then you graduated and you probably will most likely cannot find a job or make a living out of it, then maybe you should just try to think of other path. But by all means, I don't mean to like say that people should do whatever they don't like to do and is forced to do whatever job that actually make money. That's not what I'm saying, but at the same time, you need to basically draw a line, right? There's a balance somewhere. There's a line between realistic, which is the money part, and then what you actually enjoy doing. So I can give an example of how my career path have led me into this whole whirlwind of really, I'm really no clue how I ended up today. But it's funny how it ended up pretty well in the end. Because growing up as a kid, young kid, like a teenager, I thought I was going to be a teacher. And being a teacher really required a lot of interaction with people. And at the time, my English was not that great. And so I really scared that somebody in the classroom will raise their hand and ask a question, and then I have no idea what they're asking. So I scratched the teacher idea. And at one point, I really want to be a video games designer because I'm creative, and I really love playing video games. But then at one point, I realized playing video games and making video games are two completely different things. And the reality is, that's probably not a very good option for me. Given my ability of how much I understand about computer and writing code and stuff like that, I don't think I can do that. And then as I grow older into college life, somebody in my life decided to suggest to me that I should be a pharmacist because their family are full of pharmacists and they know that the pharmacist position get paid really well and it's pretty leisure as far as I understand. I have no clue if it's actually relaxing, but I know for sure it's a profession and you get paid pretty well. And so, really, given that that's the only suggestion I got in life, and I decided to go for it, so I took the pharmacy college admission test, the PCAT, and then I started to apply for college, the pharmacy school. I did pretty well in my test, so I got like an interview for all the school I applied for. But at that time, I was still very, very shy and very low self-esteem with my confidence of speaking English. So I did pretty poorly on the interview. I remember I was sweating the whole time and I couldn't remember anything else at the interview. So needless to say, I did not get the pharmacy admission. And so I just kind of like applied for a science school, a college of biological science, because I didn't have to have an interview and they just admit me right when I submit the application. And right there I got a bachelor in science degree. And after that I just worked in the hospital because naturally that's the biggest hospital that's in my town. And I got a job as a lab technologist. So it's kind of funny and ironic because in school I did pretty poorly in the labs. I remember I couldn't like, understand anything. So I usually have my partner does all the procedural step in the lab, and I just write up the report at the end. So it's kind of ironic how I ended up working in the lab after really like being clueless every single session at the lab in the school. But it was okay. I worked for 9 years and I adapt to it. The job was actually easier than in the school, and I actually get somebody who trained me one on one and told me what to do. as opposed to like being in the classroom and then you kind of on your own and the teacher just walk around but they don't really demonstrate how to do it. So it turned out okay, and I'm okay with the job, you know. At least I'm kind of can think about me helping the doctor make a diagnosis and potentially saving lives. So I find value in the work that I do, although that was never like my original intention. But at least that job I can easily find is in high demand. It pays okay. It doesn't pay a lot. Definitely not as much as a pharmacist or an engineer or a doctor. But it was easy to find a job and it pays better than a teacher for sure. Um, but then during my school years, I actually decided to go back and for a master's degree. So I got a master in science again, biochemistry, molecular. That was the specific degree. And then I switched my job into an education specialist position. But you know how funny it is? Life have really go in a whole circle, a complete circle, because my role now is like being a teacher, except not in the classroom, but with adults at work, employee. So I'm managing the training, the education. I also teach adults with the resident and the fellows. So in a sense that I have become what I wanted to be in the first place when I was a child, and that was to become a teacher, but just in a different perspective, in a different realm. And now I get a well-paid job, very good life balance, and I also enjoy what I'm doing. So that is the whole story, you know. If I wouldn't have done it differently, let's say like, oh, I graduated with a science degree and I really didn't want to work in the lab because I suck in the lab, and I decided to go for a completely different major and starting to study something else and then waste another 2 to 4 years of my life in school, get another degree and not even sure if I really like the new job, the new degree. That is the problem. So I think nowadays, just basically, when you pick a major, make sure that you really do well research, ask people for suggestion, go shadow the job, the person on the job, so then you know what it's all about before you dive in. So then you don't waste 3 to 4 years of your life studying something that is worthless to you, that's not gonna pay you off the money. And then you're sitting with a load of debt, student loans. And secondly, you can do what I do, or just to live with it. You may not like what you do right away, but during your time of doing that job because it feeds you, it provides the financial needs that you need at the moment. During that time, you can take the additional time to go back to school part-time and study for whatever that you wanted to do later. Or maybe go for an MBA or something so then you can find a job that is pay better and something that you enjoy to do. And that is all I have for you today. I hope that all of you, if you have kids, give them suggestion, help them out, give them advices. If you are a student, make sure you do enough research so they know what you're getting into. I just want you to try to avoid one thing, and that is going back to school and waste the whole degree that you've been working for 3 to 4 years. Personally, I would just go with whatever you study, and then in the meantime, study something else. Happy Thanksgiving and have a great time, everybody.